welcome to our studios here in Bijilo. This is TFN Today, and I'm your host, Jacqueline Kuli. First, let's take a look at the news that made it to our headlines this evening. The Gambia Press Union on Saturday held a successful National Journalism Awards. Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow led a retreat for permanent secretaries in the Gambia, emphasizing the government's development plan. Gambian First Lady Fatoumata Bah Barrow launches Women Empowerment Center and Food Processing Facility. Fashion Weekend Gambia concluded over the weekend, showcasing the latest trend in a celebration held at Combo Beach Hotel. The Aki case at Banjul High Court resumed on Friday before Justice Ibrahima Jaite. The GDC leader, Mama Kande, criticizes the government tax plans proposal. An explosion at Conakry's main oil terminal in Guinea has claimed at least 8 lives and left dozens injured. Let's now take a closer look at our stories. The Gambia Press Union organized the National Journalism Awards on Saturday, which wrapped up with resounding success, drawing esteemed guests from various corners of the Gambian media landscape. The event was held at Sun Beach Hotel in Cape Point with keynote speeches from the President of the Gambia Press Union, Mohamed S. Bah, the Gambia Minister of Information and Communications Infrastructure, Honorable Lamin Jammeh, and National Journalism Awards Chair Famara Fofana, who will be joining us later for a discussion about the results of the Wonderful Nights Award.
Address this important occasion for marking the 8th edition of the Gambia National Journalism Awards under the theme, Breaking from the Past, Safeguarding the Principles of Press Freedom and Freedom of Expression. This year's event holds particular significance as it coincides with the commemoration of the late Deda Haidara's tragic assassination 19 years ago. Mr. Haidara dedicated his life to speak truth to power, and advocating for a just society embodying the values we hold dear in journalism. We acknowledge the progress made in press freedom and freedom of expression over the years, and we commend the government for the gains made, including the enactment of the Access to Information Law in 2021.
Some 2 months ago, the Gambia Press Union tasked a quintet of Gambian journalists or media professionals to serve on the judges panel of this year's National Journalism Awards, comprising Serif Bojan Jr., Aisa Dabo, Ndei Tafa Sose, Jaran Senghor, and my humble self. Our task was to preside over an independent and fair process of reviewing entries for consideration in the awards. In alignment with the terms of reference given to us by the GPU, we individually had to go through every single entry, word by word, line by line, to ensure that justice is done to every story submitted for our review. And considering that we had more than 150 stories or entries to scout through, the process was not just painstaking and time-consuming, but one requiring a very delicate balancing act by virtue of the huge responsibility we had, our professional commitment at our own levels.
The Children's Reporting Award. So the award goes to Nyumasila.
Winner for this category, Human Rights Reporting Award, goes to Mustafa K. Dabo.
Mustafa, the Legal Affairs Reporting Award goes to Yakuba Jam. By Spice Hope, of course, Sheikh Bojang. And of course, you may.
That was MS Bah and Famara Fofa respectively. Away from that, Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow led a retreat for permanent secretaries in the Gambia, emphasizing the government's development plan. He urged them to learn from past retreats and enhance oversight in project implementation. Minister Boy emphasized empathy and dedication, highlighting the impact of decisions on future generations. The 3-day retreat will cover strategy development and review of the 2023 second quarter. The Fatu Network's reporter Ali Jallow has more.
permanent secretaries to leverage on lessons learned, previous retreats, and use them to transition seamlessly into the refocus plan. He further urged them to consider ways to strengthen their oversight functions in project implementation within their ministries.
I tasked this retreat with supporting the Department of Strategic Policy and Delivery under the Ministry of Public Service in establishing a robust feedback mechanism for His Excellency the President's flagship projects. This includes implementing online monitoring and evaluation tools accessible to our development partners for transparent progress tracking. Furthermore, developing a comprehensive framework for project and program monitoring across all MDS is essential. Such proactive assessment ensures accountability and allows us to adapt and optimize our efforts for maximum impact.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Public Services, Babukar Boy, called on the permanent secretaries to not only plan but also be empathetic architects of progress. He expects them to be dedicated to the Gambian people's cause by allowing transparency and data to guide them through the process. Boy stressed that every decision, project and sacrifice made will save the lives of generations to come. Therefore, the ministries will ensure that accountability and delivery of public mandates are registered.
2024 is the year for delivery. The Ministry of Public Service will not only intensify the monitoring and evaluation of all flagship projects and programs, it will also play a pivotal role in ensuring that, as a government, we deliver on promises we make. This function of the Ministry of Public Service will be intensified in the months to come and will require innovative engagement strategies with every arm of the public service to ensure timely delivery of projects, programs, and services in general.
The 3 days retreat will focus on reviewing the second quarter of the 2023 retreat, developing strategies, and updating the Accountant General's report. For the Fatu Network, I am Aliu Jallo. During the permanent...
That was Aliu Jallo there. Moving on, the Gambia Democratic Congress leader Mama Kande criticizes the Gambian government aggressive tax plans, proposing officials cut their salaries instead. He assures GDC's strength, urging supporters to uphold party principles. Kande advises the president to prioritize public service, playfully dismissing comparison to a horse. The situation underscores growing tensions over fiscal policies and their impact on the economy and citizens. Moving on, Fashion Weekend Gambia reached its dazzling finale with a spectacular showcase of the latest trends at the festive celebration held at Combo Beach Resort. The event unfolded over the evening of 15 to 16 of December, marking a vibrant celebration of artistry and innovation in the Gambian arts and fashion scene. The event profoundly highlighted the talents of top designers and fashion visionaries from across sub-Saharan Africa. A heartfelt congratulations are in order for the organizers and participants whose collective efforts resulted in a resounding success. Now, moving on, the Aki case at the Banjul High Court is ongoing before Justice Ibrahima Jaiteh. Compensation discussions are progressing, but a final resolution is pending. Both plaintiff and defendant counsels confirm ongoing talks outside the court, clarifying that settlement discussions aren't hindering court proceedings. Justice Jaiteh emphasized India's responsibility to ensure companies meet standards. He suggested that if India doesn't act, the Gambian government might take legal action. Counsel Binga acknowledged the diplomatic nature of the issue, urging adherence to protocols rather than rushing to court against India. On the international scene, massive explosions at Conakry's main oil terminal in Guinea has claimed at least 8 lives and left dozens injured. The blast, caused by a fire of unknown origin, shattered windows in downtown Conakry, prompting evacuation and school closures. The fire, which started around midnight, continued for hours, with conflicting reports on the number of casualties. The government has set up a crisis unit to manage the situation, emphasizing the strategic importance of Gutted oil depot, which supplied fuel to most of the country. Now, back home here, the First Lady Fatoumata Barbaro inaugurated a Women Empowerment and Gambia Food Processing Center in Kir Jarga. Built by the Ma Foundation with UNFPA bill funding, the project aims to boost rural livelihoods and empower women economically and politically. The mayor of Banjul, Rohimalik Low, praised the initiative for addressing challenges faced by vulnerable women. CEO Fatima Jawara expressed gratitude for support, and UNFPA representative Ndei Rosar emphasized its importance. The ceremony included a tour showcasing innovative methods for efficient food processing to enhance regional food security. The Fatu Network's reporter Dauda Balde will take us through.
Fatoumata Babaro, the First Lady, stated that this project will enhance rural livelihoods and overall well-being, recognizing the central role of women in a context where their contributions are often overlooked and undervalued. She addressed a cheerful crowd of women dressed in fashionable attire. She commended the Ma Foundation for Women and its partners for the commendable initiative aimed at empowering women economically and politically. Praised by many for her outstanding support and advocacy for women's empowerment, the First Lady emphasized the significant role this center will play in empowering women.
Women Resource and Empowerment Center will serve as a medium through which women of North Bank region will benefit from knowledge building, network, expansion, skill, acquisition, and financial support regardless of their political affiliations. That is the Gambia that we all want.
At the heart of Kirjarga lies the state-of-the-art food processing center, strategically positioned to minimize food losses in our communities. It is hoped that this center will greatly empower women toward financial independence and their participation in politics, thereby paving the way for economic prosperity. Rohimalik Law, the mayor of Banjul City Council, who attended the ceremony, described the launch as a welcoming initiative to tackle challenges confronting vulnerable women. She urged women to rise above their political differences and support each other, while praising Fatoumata Jawara, the CEO of Ma Foundation for Women, who is being supported by other women.
Buñ ko caaxaane ndañ ko tiye fulal ko faydal ko nag mooy ku nekk jàpp ne bosam la ku nekk gis ci boppam ñu génne politique sànni ko teg ko fële te xam ne ñoom loolu ñoru leen li leen ñor mooy suñ dem kanam ak suñ njaboot gi loolu rek a leen ñor leneen ñoru leen.
Fatoumata Jawara, the CEO of the foundation, expressed gratitude for the support she received from partners in this crucial journey of empowering women.
Project bi tey li ko waral mooy empower Gambian women to participate in politics. Te soo ko gisee buñ ko dooree dama kontaan parce que Gambian si dañ ma si jàppale te dañ nangu ne project bi seen bos la.
Ndei Rosar, the UNFPA country representative, expressed excitement to be part of such a major development while underscoring its importance.
For me, this is not just any resource center. It's a powerhouse of innovation, a hub for where progress collides with empowerment. It's a living testimony to our joint commitment to spark positive change within our local communities. We are not just breaking ground, we are breaking barriers for women. So our vision is to really have this kind of center across the country.
The ceremony offered attendees a detailed tour of this center, providing them with an opportunity to engage with key figures involved in the project. The attendees were led on a comprehensive tour of the facility to witness first-hand information on the various activities and processes taking place at the center. This includes understanding how the center addresses the issue of food spoilage and wastage, crucial for ensuring food security in the region, through the mind-blowing innovative methods and technologies employed to preserve and process agricultural products. For TFN News, Dauda Balde.
That's it for our news summaries. Let's now go into our main news, where we'll welcome the National Journalism Awards Chair, Mr. Famara Fofana, as our guest here to talk about the success of the awards night, which unfolded over the weekend. Welcome to TFN Today, Mr. Famara.
Thank you very much, Zachary. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're told the event was successful, so tell us, how many entries have you recorded so far this year?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's good to hear people giving a very resounding testimony of how things went. It has been a challenge, I have to say. We had about over 150 entries,
wow.
153 so to speak. But if you run it up, it's a little over 150. The entries came across different journalistic channels. We had television, we have newsprint, we have online. And the beauty is the diversity of these stories and the categories. Actually, there were 17.
Okay.
17 categories under which entries came, from politics, from the environment, from children, women, agriculture, legal affairs, security, you can name them. But in total, we have 17 entries under which submissions were made. And what we did was, as a jury, a 5-member panel, we went through all these categories to make sure that the process was fair and independent, because you cannot give a fair assessment or account of these entries if you do not have the time to go through all of them. It was tough though, but we gave it all, and then we had to go through the shortlisting. Some of the categories had 3, some had 2, but at most we had 3 for a category, and you know, that's how we went about it.
Okay, nice. So what were the things that you were looking into, the characteristics of the stories that were submitted?
That's very important. You know, of course, in journalism, stories in particular, the newsworthiness of a story is very important. First and foremost, we are looking at the newsworthiness. How worthy is a particular story? Why was it submitted? What was the news element there that is of interest? And how was the angling done? What was the structure of the story? Because you know, for a story to be considered fit for purpose, you cannot go about hitting left, right, and center. It has to have a structure. So apart from that, we also look at the originality aspect of it. You know, of course, this is the digital age, and plagiarism does exist across the country. So we wanted to be sure whether this particular story is the original idea. Was it published somewhere else before this very entry? So that was something we are also looking at. We also looked at the factuality, accuracy. You know, of course, in news reporting or reportage, making or establishing one's fact is one of the most important things. You know, one has to establish. If you get it wrong factually, you can find yourself in trouble. You know, so those are very important things. Also, we look at the public benefit of the story, the impact.
The impact it has made. Okay.
Does the story seek to promote a particular commercial interest, the interest of a particular individual, a business or so? We're looking at the public interest, the greater good of the story. So those are some of the elements that we were trying to establish. And also language, style, and presentation. Of course, you may have a very good story idea, but the way you package it is very important.
It matters a lot.
Yeah, so those are essentially the key ingredients that we were looking at. But on top of that, you know, of course, we have the ethical guidelines that govern our trade. We want to make sure journalists follow the moral compass of the craft. And we had as a guide the Gambia Press Union Code of Conduct, the Code of Conduct. Of course, also internationally have the 7 canons of journalism, or the ethical guidelines or principles. So we want to make sure, on top of those ingredients that I highlighted, the ethical guidelines were also adhered to the letter.
Wow. So what makes this year's award ceremony different from last year?
I think because I was involved in the previous one, the last year, not as the chair of the judging panel, but as a judge, and previously I had been also involved in the awards, the organizing committee. But credit to every Gambian journalist, the quality of the stories, that really stands out, definitely, and the depth at which the stories were treated and dissected. You know, I want to say, and I highlighted this, and that was a major improvement. That was a huge upgrade this year compared to what we have been seeing. And this alludes to the fact that a lot of work is going on. Journalists are investing a lot of time, energy, and resources. So that stands out, and also the diversity of the stories. The storytelling ability also. You look at the stories, the way they were approached, features, you know, and how depth they went into treating these stories. That for me stand out. And of course, this may make you happy, ladies. You know, the gender dimension. For me, I usually don't look at whether it's the woman that dominate or so. But you have to recognize when people go out. And out of the 14 nominees, or the categories that nominations were made, 11 of those categories had women, at least one woman under them. So that for me is a huge plus.
Impressive.
Yes.
So tell us, there were categories for photojournalism and community, but nothing happened. What went wrong?
That's a good question. In fact, someone asked me about that, but unfortunately by the time he asked, that report was delivered.
Okay.
I wanted to believe it was lack of clarity as to how they were supposed to go about photojournalists. You know, it is equally important as any other trade now in journalism. It's an important element of journalism. Today is the information overload age. People don't want to read everything, but photos do tell stories across the world, used by all media houses across the world. But what happened, most of what we saw were stories, videos that were filmed by videographers or camera operators. So those were the stories submitted in the name of photojournalism.
Oh, wow.
Admittedly, I have to say, that was a photo. It has to do with the MFDC rebels in Casamance. I think that was even used by The Guardian, that photo. That stands out, but it was just one.
Wow.
Yeah, and what you expect, photojournalism, you expect a collection of stories that are telling you a story that is very impactful and a very captivating and compelling way. But all hope is not lost, because that is why it is our duty also to say, okay, they got it wrong this way. Perhaps it might have been due to the clarity of communication or so. But what we are now recommending to the GPU is that just as we have benchmarks for the stories categories, they also have criteria or ingredients that they are to look out for when it comes to photojournalism, so that people know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to. Obviously, you do see photo exhibitions.
Yeah.
You without even talking. Maybe sometimes only the background tune that place. Photos communicate. In fact,
they do.
They communicate more than words. So those are some of the things that that was a reason, because it's the highest national journalism awards. We also have to audit ourselves and the fraternity itself to make sure that we don't just nominate for the sake of nominating. And I think that is good for the country, so that when we say this is the best is sold. Hopefully next year, yeah. When it comes to radio, rural radio / community radio of the year, the title suggests that that could be a collective work that was it implies on behalf of a particular radio station based in provincial Gambia. But we saw stories, newspaper stories. One was sports, one was television. In fact, that's a health story. Someone with a troubling stomach. So those are the two we saw on behalf of the community or rural radio. So perhaps that could also be a lack of understanding or clarity. But hopefully, based on the feedback, we had a general report I read at the event, but there's one that's internal also meant specifically for the Gambia Press Union. So hopefully that will help everyone in the landscape or in the profession to have a common ground as to what is required.
I've been hearing about a lot of discussions surrounding the awards. Others would argue that why should I submit a story that I've written or something that I've worked under? Why not the GPU monitor each media house and pick the best out of the rest and nominate them instead of just submitting?
I think that would create a commotion. That may be subjective. If I am to decide that story A stands out, likely what Ibrahim would consider as a top story would definitely be different. Natural human beings have our implicit biasness, and also we have our own preferences, individual, even media houses. Someone may prefer media X1, someone may have so to avoid that conflict of interest, the standard procedure is to have a selected list of benchmarks or a checklist that you think are very key. Because if you watch a good story, as a journalist, you definitely know, even the audience can tell between a bad and a good story based on the kind of ingredients or the substance and style of the story. So if that is to happen, definitely, in fact, there will be no awards, because at the ceremony there will be tension. But definitely, I have to say something. Even people that I saw that submitted and haven't been nominated, or nominated but haven't won, they were publicly alluding to the fact that the stories that won. You could argue that story X deserved to be there, but you cannot argue that story X that won didn't deserve to win. Yeah, this, if you have taken notice, for the first time, that's what we did this year, was to make sure we justify why a particular story came out as the winning story. It's the first time we did that. And when those things were read, those were done purposely to serve with the nominees themselves to know, okay, he has injected this into this story, and I haven't. And that also promotes knowledge exchange and best practices. And I hopefully, but fairly and squarely, kudos to everyone. And we have to also recognize the people behind the good images, the videographers. True, they weren't rewarded based on photographs also because of instances that we cited, but You look at this security story, but
Aminata Isanya?
Yeah, the anti-crime outing.
Yeah.
Yes, to crime hot zones. You also have the one by Mohamed Lamin Choi.
Yeah.
About all the 3 TV stories that came couldn't have been there without the
videographers as well.
So, but I think at their own level, they call out their camera operators to give them the recognition that they deserve.
Nice. Yeah. So let's take a look at the media landscape. It is growing immensely, and it is full of young people like myself.
True.
See, so what have you noticed so far?
One thing that stands out prominently is the passion. Yes, you see a lot of young people are very much passionate about the field. And the good thing is today's media practitioners are a bit lucky compared to just a few years ago. Today, no matter how we see it, there's that great deal of the conduciveness of the environment where people can operate freely. Gone are the days when news media themselves will censor themselves, even journalists self-censor themselves, but those things are not there. Now, the passion stands up. Also, the establishment of media training schools. We have the University of the Gambia, SJDM, and also Majak, and these two are very, very key in propelling the growth of the institution. And also, because of the digital age, there is a proliferation of online outlets. So that is promoting healthy competition between journalists, and definitely those are things that I think is definitely helping. And we have young women, you know, entering the field, and it's exciting. Huh?
Yeah.
You go around, you see a lot of fresh faces, and all of these people are passionate about what they do. I think it bodes very well for the industry.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you think needs to be improved in getting the news and getting your facts right in the Gambian media? Do you think like something needs to be improved? What are the things that are not being done right?
One thing that could be done properly or improved upon is the storytelling ability of journalists. Yeah, there's no bad story, right?
Yeah.
But it depends on how you tell your story. You may have a more substantial story than mine, but the way I package and narrate my story can be a reason for now assigning you. So we are calling on editors and news entities to help, you know, even conduct creative storytelling sessions with their reporters and editors themselves. We also want journalists also to take it upon themselves to excel for excellence, to strive for that competence and find what we have in this country, which is we cut across all the sectors, the complacency syndrome that we have sometimes, because I am farmer of I have 1 or 2 stories and then that's the end for me. Now, the quest now to strive for more, you know, so we want journalists not to rest on their laurels, to push for more and strive for excellence, and that's good. Also, they could have done better with simplicity when it comes to crafting of headlines.
Okay.
We have headlines that resulted in certain stories not being nominated. The stories are very rich.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of content, they are very rich stories.
Wow.
But sometimes, these days, we have a lot of headlines that are double-decker styles, where you have 1 or 2 headlines, the other one under, just to entice the reader to grab that attention. But in doing those things, we should also be mindful not to do creativity at the expense of the substance itself. So those are issues. Also, what could be improved upon is story ideas are there, you read the stories, but the approach to those stories, the end product, usually fail some of the journalists. But as I said, in-house trainings can also be done better, and also editors also not going beyond editing language. You could do language fixing, grammar and so on, but beyond the mechanics, go through coaching. Most of these are young people. Coach them, show them how it is done by CNN, show them how it is done by doing those kind of things. They can have a more in-depth understanding of story writing.
Yeah, in the beginning you did mention about plagiarism.
Yeah.
It's becoming a major problem nowadays. You see a lot of people complaining on social media that people do take their works without giving them credit. What do you have to tell, especially the younger generation that is coming up into the journalism field about plagiarism?
It's something that everyone must pay attention to. It has not surfaced in this particular awards this time. But what is important now, in the recent past, we've seen journalists, media houses themselves copying works from other outlets. That's happened, that's a continuous process, without even acknowledging the original source. So for any young journalist who may be tempted to do that, I encourage you not to try it at all, because now 2 or 3 words or phrase, the moment it is put and inserted Google, it takes you straight to the source. So if you keep doing it, or if you attempt to do it, you get found out. So my plea is to journalists that not to try anything that will border on plagiarism also. You have to be authentic, you have to be original. You know, you don't have to impress anybody to the extent of using somebody else's work. Even if you have to do, please do it the right way, the right channel, seek their consent, and even if you publish or broadcast, give them credit so that, because of course, when we use CNN story, CFI, we allude to them, that story by so. So that is ascertaining credibility and also giving the devil what is due to the devil. So that's my
Before I take your leave, going back to the awards night, how independent were the members of the jury?
Very good. I believe GPU had every reason why they opted for the 5 people, myself, Seri Bojan Jr., and Jiran Sengon Datafa. Actually, only 2 of them, myself and Jiran, are based in country. None of them are here. Datafa is in Mali, Seri is in England, and the other lady, Aisha, is in Senegal. What we did to ensure that the process is transparent is to declare any conflict of interest that we may have. When we met for the first time as chair, what I did was to ask for full disclosure. Is there anybody who submitted a story that you have a special relationship with? This could be blood ties, this could be romantic or any form of relationship that might have influenced the whole process. That we ensure from the get-go that was established. But I can assure you that the process has been very fair, because in the end, it was our integrity at stake. And let me tell you this, even up to the day of the award, no one within the GPU knew who won who won. The winners, yes. Not the secretariat, not the organizing committee. The guy who went and did the crystals, the trophies, is not part of, and I was dealing with that directly, all through. That is why you remember when they were removing the papers, it would take everybody by surprise. Of course, we know, as journalists, we know how good somebody is at this. You can have your usual suspects. But definitely, I can assure you that it was very fair and transparent.
Okay. Congratulations on a very successful awards night. Thank you
Thank you so much,
joining us on the TFN today. Thank you again, and until next time, I'm your host Jacqueline Colley, signing off with a big thank you, a warm goodbye, and I promise to see you again soon for another edition of TFN Today. Take care and do stay tuned.